What examples stand out as really pivoting to meet that need?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that we were underprepared or not prepared at all for this, I think. But the positive side is that you've actually seen some kind of inertia be smashed for the first time. So a lot of companies for a long time, many years, have said, oh, no, I can't have a remote workforce, or it's not going to work. And we've really seen that all companies have really adapted very well to a remote workforce. So first I wanted to just give a shout out to that. And I think the ability, that's all been enabled through technology. In terms of examples, I think the distilleries moving into hand sanitizers is a good one. At Zip, first we moved everyone up remotely working for 24 hours, which is fantastic. But I think what we actually did is we saw the opportunity and we moved our roadmap very, very quickly. So we knew that people were going to be able to shop online and it was going to accelerate their online shopping. And so we actually moved forward one of our initiatives that now allows people to shop at anywhere that they want. So they can buy their groceries, their fuel, etc., and they can do that from the comfort of their own home. And the Shop Everywhere feature was stood up in less than a couple of weeks. And just the sheer volume that we've seen of people use it means that there was actually a demand and a problem we were solving.
Ed, what about your observations? We hear it's a new normal. Which parts of life as you knew it do you think has changed forever?
I think definitely just picking up on that point about the way in which we're working and the fact that presence, geography is less important, as in that you're required to all come into an office, all come in at the same time, or leave at the same time. So obviously that's had an impact. I think that'll have a downstream impact too if we've got more people working from home, about how robust, how well our communication networks, particularly our broadband networks, are working. I think while in some cases there'll be people that didn't have a problem at all, there are pinch points in major capital cities and regions that I think need to be addressed, and if we're going to have that happen more often, I don't think we're out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination based on what's been suggested this week about impacts on public transport and downstream on road networks, which suggests to me that we'll still have a degree of home-based working, staggered start times, what that means in terms of the way that we engage in the world of work and family, and even at a social level, the way in which families relate. If you've got a lot of people working at home through the day, looking after kids, or having to go out and as school starts to return, how that changes the way in which we operate will be big too. And I think there was an issue pre-COVID around trust. The impact of cyber. Can we have much of our lives online? What's going to happen there? And then longer term trust, brought on by this whole pandemic about, we're not physically in the same rooms as each other anymore. We're operating a lot more distinctly and away and remote from each other. So I think that's another test. I know this is it sounds a lot more academic, but this is the stuff that I think policymakers do need to focus on in shaping up a response post-COVID.
John, going to tech startups in the ecosystem, we already know that in Australia 97% of tech startups fail to commercialise. Just remind us, why is new entrants really important to navigating economic growth?
Well, new startups in general, and especially tech startups, are incredibly important for long-term economic growth in this country. They create a disproportionate share of jobs in this country. They bring new ideas to not only their customers as new solutions, but also to big businesses as well that they supply. It drives productivity growth across the economy. New entrants are about 6% more productive than some of the laggards in sectors across the Australian economy. But already coming into this crisis, we were actually seeing a downturn in the number of new entrants which were coming in Australia, and that's something that the Commonwealth Treasury had already identified as a structural weakness for our economy. It's unlikely that risk tolerance levels will have improved during the crisis. The risk aversion is likely to go up too. So it's possible that beyond our existing businesses, beyond the existing workforce, if we see a slowdown in new business growth, that's going to have consequences for our economy in 2021 and 2022. Now, obviously the government's not to blame for the crisis, but it could do a better job, I think, of getting the policy settings right to encourage new startups in this country. The analysis that we've done about the financial and non-financial incentives, be it in the UK or in Canada, in Singapore are a little more generous than what we have in Australia. So rethinking that could be part of the recovery plan as well.